Hey guys, welcome to our Day in the Life series. I've got the lovely Jenny Kavanagh here to tell us all about how she got started as an online business manager and what happened even before that, and ultimately joining us for accreditation and where things have kind of landed for you now, because it's been about what, 6 months?
Has it already? Time flies. Yeah, it could absolutely have been 6 months by now. Yeah.
Jenny, tell us a little bit about how you found the online space and really what that looked like.
So I started in corporate. And after COVID, I ended up getting laid off, as I think a lot of people have. And I had already sort of been investigating the idea of being a virtual assistant. And I found that through Lauren Golden and her Free Mama movement.
And what were you doing in corporate? Like, what was your sort of job title?
I was an administrative assistant.
Okay.
I had been an executive assistant. I had done like all the operations things in different companies and things like that.
And did you know about the OBM before you trailed into the VA? I still find that so interesting. Because me 15 years ago, it was like, okay, but now I feel like OBM is a lot more commonplace.
Although, now that we're talking about it, so I actually was an OBM before the term existed. Like long ago, I was an online business manager without the title for a pet sitting company.
Working from home?
Working from home, managing the whole business, doing
Then you went to corporate?
And then I went to corporate. They didn't call it online business manager. And so I didn't even really think about that until I found you through one of the interviews you did with Lauren Golden, and you talked about online business management. I was like, wait a minute.
I'm already doing this thing, which is so common.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is so familiar. And I could totally do that because the VA stuff is great. And it's a really good foot in the door, really good start. You're getting familiar with the technology and the marketing aspect and all these things, but there was more. And I really enjoy the overarching kind of strategy and
that big picture.
Aspect.
Yes. I always say if you're a VA and you constantly find yourself in the big picture of things, you probably are an OBM in disguise.
You are correct. So that's how I learned all about online space and OBM and all that good stuff.
How long were you VAing for before you were laid off? So you were in corporate.
Yeah, I was in corporate.
Kind of dabbling. Did you have clients on the side?
No, I was just learning. It was funny. I was just watching free YouTube videos and sort of just learning. I was like a sponge. I was like a sponge learning about the VA world. And I had taken online courses about course creation as well, because I really I'm obsessed with that side of things too. So I had taken Amy Porterfield's course and Jenna Kutcher's courses and
great
other
place
people's
to find clients.
Oh my gosh, seriously though. Yeah, but I just loved that online marketing, and my whole family has marketing backgrounds.
So cute. I love that. That's not cute. Funny. That's hot.
Okay. I think so too. Yeah. So anyway, so it just sort of morphed in
snowballed into you finding your real roots, which is fantastic. How did that transition look for you coming into the OBM space? You joined us inside of accreditation, OBM accreditation.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it was so exciting. It was exciting and very nerve-wracking because it's it wasn't new to me because I'd done it, but it was new to me because it's in this online space that I haven't really tinkered with in a long time, and it's very different than corporate and all these things. And I think my challenge was can I really do this? Because I was comfortable as a VA because I've been doing that for a few months and doing really well, and I loved my clients. The transition was very challenging at first. It was more of a personal competition, let's see if I can actually do this. And the reason I loved your accreditation program was because it was this hands-on, you're actually doing the work while you're going through the process. Oh my gosh, it was brilliant.
Yeah, I know. I was we need to develop the confidence to offer these skills, these services. So I love that because that is how we have, by design, naturally. So I love that that was helpful for you, despite even having, let's be honest, a lot of those transferable skills from corporate and from having been in OBM, back in the day when I first started, and it was the wild, wild west. People come into the online space now and they're intimidated by technology. And I was like, guys, you got it so easy. Tech 10 years ago was totally scary, clunky, broken. Now things are drag and drop. Everything's drag and drop. I'm you have nothing to worry about. Everything is figure-outable, right?
Yeah, but that made all the difference for me too. Was actually it was you're actually doing the role. And although I had done a lot of similar type things in corporate and in my previous online business manager role, it was very different than what it looks like today. And so to be able to practice in that safe space and that supportive space with other OBM wannabes, I'll say, going through the process with you, and also the mentorship and then your support too. It just made all the difference. And I was like, I can totally do this. Absolutely.
That's amazing. I love that. That makes me very happy because naturally we want students to succeed. We want people to go on and be really successful online business managers. How has your business changed since then? Because, obviously becoming accredited and now having the digital credentials to display, has that attracted a different kind of client? Are you financially where you wanted to be? Did you get the ROI that you were looking for, which is that big thing that surely our listeners want to know? Like, what was the ROI like for you?
Of course. I wanted to know that myself too. And I will tell you, it has been more than I even thought. I knew it would help. I knew it would give me the confidence to start moving in that upward direction and help scale. But I didn't realize how quickly that was possible.
Oh.
It was amazing. And so I've had so many potential clients coming to me without me having to market.
Because I remember that was something we talked a lot about. I remember having conversations with you in our live calls inside the program, and you being like, I'm never going to get more clients. And me being like, wait, just wait. It will happen. So now it's happening.
It's happening. And I'll tell you, I've had so many come from your OBM school directory.
Really?
It's funny because they'll come in lumps,
oh, really? Because maybe it's our ads, because we do run ads to those.
Oh, it's so great though, because it's this is amazing,
Yes.
And what I like about it too is it gives your potential clients the opportunity to sort of connect with you beforehand. And so it feels so good that they're already attracted to what you're offering. So it makes these discovery calls so much less scary and intimidating, and so much more
because you're you're coming from the accreditation database. You already know that I'm badass. So yes,
you've looked at my website, you know what I'm offering, you've seen my prices because
I've got the credentials.
Yes. So it's just made such a difference, because before a lot of my marketing was in Facebook groups, just the normal VA route of marketing,
which is also very important. We're not knocking that. You still got to have that consistency.
Still got to do it.
These clients do their due diligence, but it's part of that whole system. And I'm glad that it's cranking in the way that we want it to.
It's been amazing. And then also referrals that started coming too. It was so funny because I signed on my very first project-based systems setup client, high ticket client.
Beautiful dating project.
Oh, it really was. And I went through your whole system where it was discovery call. Then we set up our paid strategy session, set up the 90-day plan. It was so good. And then I sent her a proposal to execute the 90-day plan. And she was like, let's do it now. And she signed it. And it was the highest paying client that I've had to date.
Can you share that number with us?
I think it's $4,500 for
$4,500 for a 90-day.
Unheard of. It was just such a good feeling to be I can actually do this. I actually can do this.
And people want it, and they're chomping at the bit.
Well, and that's the funny part. So I'm less than a month into the project, and she refers somebody else to me that could also use that service. So now I'm in the process of doing a proposal for them. So I mean, the system
makes me so happy. And I love that you can sort of empathize from this perspective of the VA, the virtual assistant who has a referral network that's referring more VA clients versus an OBA client with an OBM referral network, and how it's just night and day.
Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Really. And the other thing I'm going to say too that has been a really, really big deal for me and a game changer for me is the networking within the OBM school community. And I've gotten referrals from other OBMs from inside the community. I have formed partnerships with other OBMs, and that has been such a game changer for me. And it's just that level.
Well, you're a very lovely human being. I will say that. You are a very nice, friendly person. I can't say that I'm surprised, but I think that it's just it's such a beautiful byproduct. I've been training OBMs, I think since 2009? No, sorry, not since 2009. That was when I got started in the online space. I think since about 2014, that was when I started to really scale my own agency and started to bring on employees and train them as OBMs. The thing that I realized about our kind of people is that we are just very down to earth, normal, at times very introverted. We're behind the scenes people. So, when we come together in communities, it's sort of intimidating because you're well, I don't know how I'm going to show up. But I find that we're just a very warm, loving bunch of very open, supportive human being. So I'm glad that that was your experience, because we definitely try to foster that kind of community inside of OBM school. How has accreditation really moved the needle? Because when we first hopped on, you were speaking about your revenue and how it's really changed since becoming accredited. I'm going to dive in a little bit deeper here. I want you to share how it looks this year versus last year.
It's actually kind of shocking, and I didn't even realize it until I sat down and looked at I just have like a basic spreadsheet. I don't even have QuickBooks yet. I haven't gotten that far yet, but just I have a spreadsheet where I track my income.
Maybe you'll have a bookkeeper and you won't even need the QuickBooks.
I'm hoping that would be my dream, because this bookkeeping thing is not my jam.
Happen.
It's in my plan. It's in my vision. So it's coming. So I'm calling it in. But yeah, meanwhile, so I'm just looking back and, going through my books and putting in my income, and I'm just doing the math. Is at the end of my spreadsheet, I have a total for the year, just so I can kind of keep track of where I'm at and all these things. And I'm looking at it for this year, and it's only January through April. And then I have forecasted May and June, just the bare minimum, my retainer clients that I can expect that money to come in, just so I can, have an idea. And I'm looking at this total number and I'm like, that can't be right. I have to have mixed some numbers up or something, because that's way too high for only 6 months into the year. So I'm like, all right. So then I went back to the other tab from 2022, and it's lower than my tab on the 2023 sheet for the total for just 6 months.
In 6 months, you've made what you made all of last year, which is bananas to me.
I almost fell out of my chair, because it's it happened so organically and so naturally that it wasn't I didn't make a big giant, I didn't have a big launch or anything, or I'm bringing in thousands of dollars. It was just this natural, beautiful progression.
Working with the right clients, having the right referral network happening, getting accredited. So you're on the directory, you have that flow of high quality leads that are looking for OBM services.
Absolutely.
Which I feel like is more commonplace today than it ever has been.
It is. And I'll tell you something. They're actively looking, and I think they're getting more educated on what the service actually is, which is amazing. I think your offering has a lot to do with that.
Yes. I mean, part of what we do is we help to sort of work to educate, even with here, for the listeners, you might be an OBM, even in corporate or even as a VA, thinking these are my next steps. But also we have a lot of clients that are tuning in that are looking for very qualified, skilled OBMs like yourself, Jenny. So if you're listening here and you're looking to hire, I think you have you told me you have one spot left on your roster?
Yeah. Absolutely.
One spot, guys. It's hot. It's hot. And you also have how many discovery calls booked?
I think I have 2 more this week, and then I have a kickoff call, hopefully starting in the next couple of weeks.
You're going to be on a wait list soon, guys. But you better get it while it's hot. Get on Jenny's wait list.
Yes, please. I'm here. No.
You know what that means? It means it's time to raise your rates, girl. That's what that means.
I know. I talk with my other OBM buddies about this too. Yeah, it's funny because I connected really well with one in particular. I don't want to name drop. I'll just say her name starts with E. And she's been amazing at helping me kind of hash out ideas and all these kinds of things, and talking about that. When is it time to raise our rates? And it's paying attention to your own KPIs coming in and what it looks like and what your own information looks like to see, okay, the value is there and it's time to bump it up a notch. So yeah, it's been fun.
I mean, it makes my heart sing. I could get very emotional now. I remember you sitting, I feel like your desk is also in a different place right now.
I fancy things up.
Before, it was this different vibe where you had this hope and this aspiration, but you weren't there yet. And now your energy is it makes my heart sing. It really does, Jenny. Because I wanted this for you. I wanted it for your family because I knew how strong your why was. Your little girl, right?
My little girl. And she's
the fam.
Oh my God, they're so good. She's going to start kindergarten. I registered her for kindergarten. I can't talk about that part because I'll start crying because it's a crazy, amazing transition. But she's been home with me for the most part during this whole journey.
That's amazing.
And I feel so grateful that I've been able to do this. It's been extraordinarily challenging, and anybody that has started a business or even just worked from home with kiddos around, it's hard. It is harder than anybody could ever prepare you for. And I only have one. I can't imagine having multiples.
One or more. I mean, one is, at least when you have two, they entertain each other.
Yes, that's true. That's
right.
True.
You don't have to always be playing. You can kind of leave them to their own devices for a wee bit of time.
Absolutely.
One is challenging. 2 is, 3 is a bag of,
It's a little crazy. It's crazy. But what's been really cool is it was very challenging in the beginning doing that balance of being present for her and also present for the clients. And present
for yourself.
And present for myself. myself, yes, and having time to do all of the things. And once I sort of struck a balance that kind of worked for everybody and we got into this new flow, I started realizing, yes, I'm busy. Yes, she wants me to play, and I can't always play with her at the times that she wants me to, but she's watching me build a business, and she's learning that you don't have to do the traditional working a 9-to-5 job to make it work. And you don't have to have a boss. You can do your own thing. You can grow your own thing. You can work your passions and make it successful and be there for your family at the same time. It's just been a dream. That been
priceless, my love.
Oh, it is.
Priceless. Yeah. You are literally setting up that girl with such success, empowering, and that is like a lovely byproduct. I feel like that's my word of the day today that I've said way too many times. I was using it in a different presentation earlier today, talking about the byproducts of being an OBM, because you get better at managing your own business. You get better at leading the client. You get better at leading your own life. Like, is it easy? No. Is it worth it? Hell yeah. Hell yes, it is. And I remember, because when my kids were younger, although I still have a kindergartner at home, I remember how fun kindergarten was for myself. So she's going to have an amazing time. She's going to make lots of friends. But I just remember working the 18-hour days and being so exhausted, growing my business and doing all the things and bootstrapping and feeling like, is this going to pay off? Is this really going to be worth it? And now, looking back, I've been out of corporate for like more than a decade. And it's mind-boggling to me, because at the same token, I feel like it was just yesterday that I was like being the VA on the side of my corporate job, being like, am I ever going to, or knowing that at that rate, I was never going to make the kind of money that I wanted to make. It wasn't until I made that OBM jump and realized that, oh, this is a thing. And oh, wait a second, I prefer the management because I love the big picture, that I could really move into that. Do you have any words of wisdom? Aside from, damn, it's hard at the beginning, but so worth it. Any specific things that you could look back on and be like, oh, this was a moment, or this is something that I'd love to share for that mom or that parent who is like either on the verge of getting laid off, or always with the notion, like, there's always a possibility. I talk to all my friends who are still in corporate, and I know entrepreneurship is not for everyone. It's definitely not for the faint of heart, but what would be that sort of pieces of advice that you would share?
The biggest piece of advice I will give anybody about this is follow your intuition. And that, for me, like, I knew while I was still employed something was coming, and it was like this gut intuition feeling. I listened without even realizing it and learned the skills beforehand. That helped more than anything, because I knew I was on the right path once it was time. It gave me that confidence to be like, okay, I can do this. I'm following.
And I can trust my gut too.
I can trust my gut. I'm going to follow this thing forward. I'm just going to take, step after step in the right direction that feels good, that makes sense, that, my intuition's guiding me this way. And I'll tell you, that's what led me to the OBM school as well. It was that same path that just felt right. It just felt right. I was terrified and scared, and I doubted, but I just trusted in myself and my abilities and my confidence and followed it. And that's, I think, my biggest piece of advice is just trust in yourself and your abilities and follow your intuition and your gut.
Yes, I love that. I think that is such an understatement, because we don't listen to our gut anymore enough. I think as a society at large, a woman's intuition has some special sauce there, that even when I invested in my own OBM career at an earlier stage in my life, knowing that it felt very scary and very outside my comfort zone, but also like intuitively knowing that I'm on the right path. And then at the same token, not everybody has that privilege to be able to build something like this. And I think, like, what would you say is your biggest support piece here? What made it possible for you, despite like not having any other options really, because you did get laid off, but you could have easily been like, I'm going back to another 9-to-5. Who supported you through this?
My partner, Victor, was a giant support. I get emotional. It was scary getting laid off, and the way that our situation was, I couldn't go get a new 9-to-5 because the amount of money I was making as an admin assistant, it wouldn't have been enough. All the jobs that were being offered during COVID were not enough. I was really lucky with the corporate job I had. Like, it was cushy. Like, the benefits were amazing. The salary for my role was amazing. They gave phenomenal bonuses. So it was like this golden egg position that just doesn't exist anywhere else. And so when I got laid off, I was like, oh no, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to find something that lucrative. And so we had to make the decision that I needed to stay home with our daughter because we weren't going to be able to afford to throw her into daycare because that's like another mortgage payment.
I know.
And he was so supportive, Sarah. I am telling you, there's no way that I could have done this without him and having that person be my cheerleader and my confidant and listen to me whine sometimes on my hard days. Yeah, that was priceless. And then just the online support of other mamas going through the same thing has been priceless. So those two combined.
Would you say that you have a specific niche now with your clients?
Oh,
I love that. I love asking people. This is my fun question. What's
I
your
feel
niche?
That's my niche. I feel like yes and no. I might have a weird answer to this. I tend to attract the people that are a bit wooier, like myself, but also not. I love working with course creators and coaches, love it, that are in that, healing space and coaching space and all those good things. But then I also have these phenomenal clients that are more analytical and not into those things, like bookkeepers and
really?
Yeah, I have a handful of bookkeeper clients that I do project-based for, which with systems set up. So I feel like I cannot say I have like a niche. I have tasks that I prefer over others.
Right.
I will say I'm more of like all-encompassing OBM where I'm welcoming to everybody, but I can't, I have got a dream catcher behind me and some astrological stuff. Like I can't, this is part of me. So it's just, I'll always add a little bit of that spiritual side of me into whoever I work with, and I just can't help that.
I love that. It's beautiful. What are some like really awesome OBM services that are unique to you that you found or things that have come up in this space? Because like things change. Have you noticed anything different?
Yeah. And so I noticed after working with the clients that I've worked with, it's like I've sort of navigated through and found like the areas where I don't want to like say I shine. I feel like I might sparkle. I sparkle in these areas and I love them and they light me up. And one of them is getting very strategic about new offers and making sure they not only serve your clients, but also you and like your inner self, and making sure everything's aligned and making sure you're really seeing the possibilities with these new offers to grow your business along the line too. So I'm very big on like, is what we're doing repeatable? Is it simple? Is it fun? Is it enjoyable? Can we cut it down and use it in other ways? Thinking about, because I work with a lot of visionaries. It's really cool. Most of my clients are visionaries. And so they have all these ideas that are always coming in. And it's part of my job to like try to keep, let's do one at a time.
To sort the chaos.
Sort the chaos, but also like really go with them on it because it's fun to create new offers and new ideas and make them come to life.
What an asset.
It's cool. It's really, really fun. And it's like, it gets my strategic brain going. And it also gets my like imagination and daydreamer. I'm a Pisces, so I'm like a big giant daydreamer. But so one of my favorite things to do is to sort of, as they're talking about their ideas, my brain immediately goes, oh my God, this is so cool. So then we can break it down into these different smaller offers, and then we can use these pieces for marketing and then
repurpose that.
All kinds of things. So that's been the most fun for me, is working on like these big visionary ideas and like breaking them down into like all these really fun, profitable things that can happen as we move forward.
And that, listeners, is how OBMs impact the bottom line in our clients' businesses. I love that, Jenny. That is like chef's kiss gold. I just did this training earlier today, and I was talking a lot about how I think as online business managers, people are really obsessed about like mastering the hard skills, but really it's the soft skills that really move the needle with our clients. And I think being aware of your particular talents and gifts, like that is a gift. That is a gift to work with a visionary and be able to take the visionary vomit, for lack of a better way of describing it, and sort of compartmentalize it or put it into containers that can then be like optimized, distributed, repurposed. Like that's like a really beautiful thing. And I think that that really stems from your ability to problem solve and to think critically and to think strategically about things. And these are like soft AF skills that I really commend you for really leveraging that, because that is such a benefit for your clients and clients to be, as you continue to encourage and inspire your clients to also, because you mentioned that work-life balance, like, is this playful? Because I think that's what's so not funny. I shouldn't laugh, but it's sort of like the irony of this online space. And I've seen a lot of this. I don't know if you've noticed this a lot lately in our space, but people are talking about building businesses that they hate, or like building the thing that they thought they wanted, or like working really hard at something that like they realized in retrospect wasn't what they wanted to begin with. Like I'm feeling a lot of that. And it's like, it's interesting that you come at it from that perspective, because oftentimes I think we don't ask ourselves, is this really going to resonate with me? Or am I going to, after I've built this thing, am I going to want to run it? I also spoke earlier to somebody who was selling their business and were, potentially wanted to sell me their business.
Wow.
It was a good friend of mine in the online space who was like, yeah, I built it. It's a solid thing, but it doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't fit in with my life. My kids are older. I want to do this,
Yep. And that happens so often. You hear that. It's so painful sometimes to see people end up in that position, because you put your heart and soul into your business. It's like another baby, and to have it go in a direction that is soul sucking at times. And that's one of the things that it's such a passion for me, is to like, how can I help people make sure they're staying on that course that serves their spirit and their client's spirit, and it ends up being this beautiful thing they were hoping it to be, because here's the thing I've noticed on the online space, we're all learning all the time, because that's the only way to grow business, is to learn. Everything changes in the online space. So we have to keep learning things. And there's so much noise out there, and there are so many experts and gurus and all these kinds of things. And not that they're bad. Most of them are very, very good, and they, know what they're talking about. But a lot of the things that they're teaching are not like the only way to do things. And so what I've learned is one of the really important things is finding those pieces that feel good to you in your business, right? Like if you hate social media and you just cringe at the thought of putting yourself out there in that way, you don't have to. Like there's other ways you can promote your business, where you don't have to just rely on that. That's just an example. I know for me, I struggled for a very long time where I have to do social media, I have to do reels, I have to be so visible on there. And that is not my thing. Like I am so not into that. And I struggled for a really long time. And honestly, I'll be so transparent with you. It made me feel like I was going to fail, because I couldn't do it. And it was such a block for me. And so as I explored and as I really kind of felt into what I was experiencing, and I sort of realized if it doesn't feel good to your business, you don't have to do it. Like there are a million other options out there. And that's sort of one of the things I love to do, is to help guide my clients on how to do things so they're not stuck in like what you're talking about, where you're building a business you hate, and having to do all of these things you hate all of the time to make money. So that's been a big for me.
Are there any particular red flags that you would say are like no-go zone for you with clients? Just for those listening who are maybe thinking about getting started as an OBM, like clients they should stay away from.
I would say number one, and you'll know this during the discovery call, and Sarah teaches us so well, you can kind of feel this energy exchange between the two of you. And if there's any like resistance on your side, stop, because it's never going to go away. It's going to be really difficult. It's going to be really, really difficult. The other thing I will say is micromanagers. Like I cannot work with micromanagers. I just can't.
It's that delegation mindset. It's sometimes difficult. And I think this is why I love that you're really leveraging the dating projects and the breakthrough strategy sessions that we teach inside the program, because you sometimes don't know right off the bat with OBM clients. I mean, there's so many clients that I've worked with over the years that, you get into their business. And this was before I mastered the dating project. I spent I think a good 4 years before I even realized that was kind of the key to having a good, solid roster of clients. And I would just say yes to, any work that came my way, because I was hustling and trying to make it work. And I just realized that, when you don't effectively screen and have a process for screening clients, and you just lock them into retainers, like you're really doing yourself a disservice. And when I started to scale my agency and I had 5 full-time OBMs working with me, I realized what I was ready to deal with as an OBM, because I had very loose boundaries and at that point in my career, my team would be like, hell no, I'm like an employee, you're paying me. Like I can say no to this. And I was like, wait, what? I really do need to make sure that I'm effectively bringing on solid clients. My team is not going to take shit like I'm going to take, or attitude, or sometimes you get like backlash. Because again, soft skills must be leveraged as an OBM, because and maybe you can sort of speak to this, but I feel like the shocking thing about being an OBM is that you kind of expect your clients to like know things and be experts, or know what their systems are, have like the basic knowledge and be like semi-organized because they've built this business. And then you get in there and you're like, this is like a hot mess.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like splattered all over the walls, you know, like what's going on here? This person doesn't know what their conversion rates are, where their metrics are. And
they have no onboarding system.
They're making more than a significant amount of money. So I think it's so funny that you expect people to have it together and they just certainly do not.
They don't. And it's so common, Sarah, it's so funny you bring that up. I've seen both sides. It's funny. So I've had clients that are OBMs themselves. It almost feels
like they're a good one. They're fun. Or the ones who are like, you know, if I didn't have this business, I'd be an OBM. I'd be like, you'd be a damn good one too.
You'd be great at it. More often than not, you're so right. It's like, or the visionaries, they like to do that side of the business and they're really, 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 really good at it. They want to make it work. And so they've spent their time sort of bootstrapping and getting scrappy and taping things together so that they can get their clients coming in, but the behind the scenes is such a jumble and it's such a mess. And it's like, how have you gotten so far? I'm in awe of you that you've done so well despite this.
And you look at their inbox and it's like 4,000 unopened emails.
Yeah. Wow.
Every time they onboard a client themselves, it's like a completely different process.
Yes. And it's just, I mean, kudos to them for, you know, making it work. And I think that's a skill in of itself, like making it work.
It definitely is. One that I don't want to have to learn though.
Absolutely. So yeah, but that's always fun then, coming in and
coming in and being like, whip. And how much it can change.
And the gratitude they have then after the fact that you've lightened up this space for them.
And given them some time back and peace of mind.
Yes.
Because I imagine, you know, I mean, I know when my inbox starts to get a little bit hairy, like I'm not losing sleep per se, but I'm definitely like, it's trickling into my work-life balance in a way that isn't very much conducive to productivity. I love that. I love this conversation. I would love to know if there is a piece of some kind of advice that you would offer up, maybe somebody who's listening who is thinking about becoming an OBM, or even somebody who's listening thinking about working with an OBM. What can they do to prepare for success?
I am going to say just trust and do it. I don't feel like there's necessarily anything you can do to prepare 100%. I'm talking to the ones that are thinking about becoming an OBM because I was there. You have to just sort of feel it, trust it, and go for it.
Feel it, trust it, and go for it. I love it.
Jump in and do it because you can talk yourself out of it very, very easily, but it is such a game changer going through the OBM school process and coming out on the other end, like the confidence.
With the credentials, with all the things.
Yes, the credentials are ridiculous. The little icons you add to your website.
With the metadata, I know.
Oh my God. Like it just gives you this amazing visibility. It gives the potential clients this confidence in you that you do know what you're doing.
That and you've invested in your career, which I think is important in this wild, wild west we call the online space, truthfully.
Absolutely. It makes all the difference. And the support is second to none. Like I said before, the practice of actually going through, you're not just reading modules and watching videos, like you're actually doing the work with a supportive atmosphere where it's not scary anymore, if that makes sense, because no one's yelling at you. Even if you make a mistake, it's okay.
Yes, it's constructive feedback. That's what it is.
It totally is. And it's friendly, and the bonds you make going through it with the other OBM.
To me, it's just the best part, the best byproduct of all.
I cannot speak highly enough of you and the OBM school.
Oh, thank you. I really, coming from you, that really means so much to me, because I know I've seen a lot of OBMs in my day, and I feel like I wanted it to work so much for you and for everybody in the school. But I knew I could feel it. I could feel the energy even through our Zoom calls all the way across all these oceans. I was like, this woman's gonna make it work.
Yeah.
And for the clients, if they want to get in touch with you and learn how they can work with you, where do they go to find you, Jenny?
My website is www.jennykavanagh.com.
And we'll put that in the show notes below so that we all know how to spell Jenny's name.
Yes, it's doozy,
Kavanagh. Beautiful name.
I have linked to my questionnaire there to get in touch with me and schedule a call and all those good things. I'm on social media, but I'm not like super active, as I said earlier.
No, because you're busy doing all the things.
Busy, and it's just not my jam. Like I'll share pictures of my dog and my
I understand that. I completely empathize with that.
I'm trying to get better at it.
Thank you for being here. We're going to leave all of Jenny's details below so you can get in touch with her. And I thank you so much for being a part of our community, for being a part of our alumni. You know, I wish you nothing but all the success.
Thank you for having me. I'm very grateful to you and always will be. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jenny.